This is LA's first.
Live from Los Angeles, welcome to the Dr. Erin Show. We're all about manifestation, transformation, and breakthroughs. It's time to claim your birthright of prosperity, vitality, and love. So grab your tea or coffee because together, we're awakening the world. May you live your truth. Live from Los Angeles, we come together to know the truth, live on spiritual principles, align with universal law, and break through all limiting beliefs so that we can claim our birthright of prosperity, vitality, and love. This is a show that teaches principles of spirituality, universal law, metaphysics, unity, and science of mind, and step-by-step how to make your dreams reality. We also come together in community, in Society and New Thought Global. Our vision is to be the #1 spiritual community, committed to enlightenment, empowerment, and entrepreneurship. We truly believe that when somebody awakens, they have a gift and message to bring to the world, and together, we're awakening the world. Okay, today, this podcast is on universal law of transmutation. We are on a series. This is number 18 of 52, the law of transmutation. So in 1925, the American astronomer Edwin Hubble made the observation and first began to prove that the universe is expanding. And the truth is that energy is always expanding. Energy is always manifesting. And it's always coming from the mental world, consciousness, spirit. Spirituality is the reality that everything is caused from spirit. First cause is what we call it. And so as the universe is expanding, what is it creating from? What is it creating from? It's creating from consciousness. And guess what? Your consciousness is always focusing on something, right? It is always because it is the soul is not neutral. The soul is not neutral. So whether it be an identity that you're creating from, it is constantly being created from that identity in your universe. We have a choice. We have a choice in the transmutation. Transmutation states this. This is the metamorphosis of the ethereal realm into the physical reality. Energy is condensed and formed via the mind. So what is held in consciousness must transform into material form. This is the perpetual process because energy is infinite in its expansion and must create from the mental factor of life. What the mind focuses on informs the creative medium of the universe into action. Energy is incapable of being destroyed, therefore it will take form. Thus, it is imperative to focus on what you want to manifest instead of what you don't want to manifest. So let's break this on down, you guys, okay? Law of transmutation. The reality is that there is something beyond. Trans it's beyond, and mutation, right? So how does this work from a mental state, okay? You are manifesting 24/7. And you don't have to do anything to manifest. You are so powerful that the moment you even consider yourself to be anything other than the I am, you are informing universal law. You are informing and directing energy through your own subconscious, through the subjective mind, which is one with the universal mind, and all of life is projecting and reflecting what is going on at a soul level. And there's different levels of your soul, right? There's a soul that's the individual aspect of your use of universal law, and your soul is connected with the collective consciousness, and your soul is connected with the cosmic consciousness, okay? But the soul is not neutral, okay? The soul is not neutral. And why do we say that? Because the soul is informing universal law. Your soul is the individual identity around what you're creating here, right? So our job in society, our job in New Thought Club, our job as metaphysicians, our job as science of mind and unity and all that is to clear out the soul. That's what we do in prayer. That's what we do in subconscious E4 trauma method, to clear out the soul as much as possible So we're not just automatically creating unconsciously, right? We want to clear it out as much and come back to the I am factor, the I am identity, and then be able to consciously create what we want for ourselves, to have free will, to have freedom of choice. That is what we're doing as we awaken. In spirituality, we're doing two primary things. We are coming back to the I am identity, and we're no longer placing our power out into the world, okay? And then once we've come to that I am and awoken, that's why we don't want to create businesses before we've done our inner work, because they're usually out of false identities and trying to keep up with the Jones and trying to do something out of our old programming. Aristotle said, if things do not turn out as we wish, we should wish them as they turn out. And what this means is this. I'm going to read it again. Aristotle said, if things do not turn out as we wish, we should wish for them as they turn out. And the reason why he was so brilliant in understanding this is because even right now, okay, I'm having a lot of conversations with clients and people that are not happy with the way the world is right now. They're unhappy. They don't know if they should move. They don't know if they should change careers. They don't know. They're in fear. They're in scarcity. They are scared of what's going to happen in the future. They don't know. They're trying to figure it out at all points in time. And we have to recognize, like, what do we do with the law of transmutation in the midst of this? Because if we understand that we are informing universal law 24/7, if we're focusing on what's wrong with the world, what's wrong with our environment, what we don't want, we're informing it, okay? So our job is to get into what we call gratitude, into visioning, into prayer, and the mind doesn't know the difference between reality and what is being in what science might call biofeedback. The mind only works in mental pictures. It works with what you're energizing. So it doesn't matter if you're energizing what you see out in the world as any what you don't want, or if it's seeing a mental picture within of what you do want. Your job is to direct universal mind, and you have to understand the power. That's why the saying is, there's nothing but fear itself. Fear the fear, okay? So in the Bible, it says, fear thy Lord. And from a metaphysical aspect of the Bible, from a mystical aspect of Christianity, we teach that it is the fear that you should fear, because fear thy Lord means fear thy law. And the law is how we manifest. It's the order of the universe. And spirit, and if you think about how was the law created? Yes, it is one with spirit. We created it collectively as the consciousness that is one. And it is because you can paint a canvas in a picture that just is, you just splot paint all over the canvas. But it's not going to be that much fun. You start to want to actually be able to create and paint something specifically. And so you've got to have order to the universe to be able to demonstrate and manifest things and experiences and so on and so forth. So there's order to this universe. So hence, universal law of transmutation. We want to experience how our thoughts come into creation. Okay, so it is a mental universe, and everything's being created from the mental state, consciousness, the backing of all energy. So Aristotle said, if things do not turn out as we wish, we should wish for them as they turned out. Meaning, we want to love what is. We want to accept what is. We want to thrive and not only just survive, but thrive in what is, because he understood that the power of metaphysics, the power of mind, the power of consciousness. And so it is your number one job to get your mind right. It is your number one job. I promise you, if you want a life that is extraordinary, that has abundance, that has vitality, that has great relationships, it's like being in a bad relationship. Who wants to be in a bad relationship that all they do is focus on what's wrong with you or change you, or vice versa, right? You are in a relationship with life. Life's going to break up with you if you don't start focusing on what is working in it. The universe can't give you more unless you are in gratitude for what you have. You literally turn off the faucet of the currency if you stop and you find what's wrong with it, okay? So our job as energizing energy through the mental pictures and through what we are focusing on, you got to become extraordinarily conscious and get discipline your mind, as Joseph Campbell said, bliss and discipline. Your job is to get in the bliss. And your job is to discipline, to no longer let, as someone who's a traditional Christian would say, don't let the devil in, okay? Don't let the evil in, okay? This is your job, is to never let the devil. The devil is your wrong thinking, is your thinking of lack and thinking things won't work out and not living in faith and focusing on what you don't want and focusing on complaining and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's the evil. That's the devil, if you will, okay? Your job is bliss and discipline. Your job is to stay in your bliss. I don't care what you need to do. If you don't love your effing life, if you're not excited about your day, you missed this teaching. You don't understand this teaching. Your number one job is to get in bliss, because we recognize, even in business, that the doingness is only 1% of your work. 99% of moving mountains is in mind, is in the spiritual factor, is in what some people would call the feminine aspect of creation versus the masculine is the doingness, okay? The feminine aspect births the baby. They do 99% of the work of birthing a baby, right? The masculine aspect does 1%. It plants the seed. Like, okay, cool, right? It's like, we have to recognize and understand that the law of transmutation is a very, very, very powerful law. And we know there's only one law. It's the law of cause and effect. It's a law that everything comes from spirit, the cause, and the effect is everything that is of this world, okay? But we break on down in 52 distinctions the law of cause and effect, and one of which is the law of transmutation. And this brings me to alchemy. This really is the alchemy of your life. The great work, Magnus Opus, is an alchemic term for the process of working with the materials of the material world, of the philosopher's stone, of the material of the mind. It's used to describe personal and spiritual transmutation in the Hermetic tradition, okay? So as New Thought Movement, we refer to all philosophy. We refer to all great truth texts. We refer to, all truth, which is really ancient wisdom. We call it New Thought because it's a new choice and a new creation, but really it's ancient wisdom, okay? So in the alchemist's way, there is 4 stages. And in these 4 stages, there was the blackening. It was basically turning silver to gold, okay? And in this process, you had to blacken. The silver would turn very black, right? And then it would begin to whiten. It would get down to this real white. And then it would start to turn yellow. And then it would actually turn super red. And when you pulled it out of the fire, if you will, then it would eventually come to its gold, okay? So what this is, and what happened was, and in a metaphor of this is, what happens is the blackening, okay? And what happens in the blackening is, when we've decided in mind that we are ready to live our great life, our epic life, our divine life, our highest expression, things have to turn black sometimes, because in order to take a quantum leap in your life, we've got to have a breakdown. There's got to be a divine discontentment. There's got to be the dark, going into that. It's like Joseph Campbell's, again, the story of the hero. You got to go into that darkness. You got to go into those challenges. You got to go into all that. And then what happens is there's a white state, which means there's a possibility. There's a possibility of what we know that we truly desire in our heart. We truly desire that this is our truth, that we know there is a glimpse of what we truly desire. And we don't know that we don't know what we desire till we know what we don't desire in the blackness. Okay, so we go into that dark state, and then we go into the whitening state, that state of that pure mind that knows exactly what is the truth and what is the dream and what is the desire. And then it goes into this yellowing. It's like a transformation, if you will. It's a yellowing. It begins the transformation. And then the red is the power. Once you live in your power, your passion, your purpose, you live knowing in total faith, nothing can stop you. You know that whatever you put your mind to is your destiny. And this is the great work. This is the alchemy. You are the alchemist, and this is what you're doing with your mind in the law of transmutation, because you've got to see the silver lining in everything. And we're talking about this I was on a walk with a girlfriend, which I go on walks all the time. It's a muscle. This work, when you first get into it, you get upset or you can't get your mind right. It's really hard to get your mind right. And as you keep practicing as a spiritual practitioner, and you keep practicing, all of a sudden you might get upset about something, but it only lasts maybe for a few hours versus 3 weeks, right? And then as you keep practicing, you go to the gym of mental, spirituality and all that. And then all of a sudden you get upset, something happens, and 3 breaths, you get back to truth. Your job, and if you want to have an extraordinary life, you want to have a life beyond your wildest dreams, then you need to master your mind. Because you are manifesting 24/7. You've got to do your inner work and clear out your soul as much as possible and come back to the I am. And get so clear in your mind what you are committed to, the clarity. Clarity equals power. And in sitting in that and in always having your mind right and always focusing on what you do want and what you are committed to creating versus what you don't want and complaining and making things wrong. That is the most important thing that you do every day of the CEO of your personal and professional life. And let's get this again. Bliss and discipline. If you aren't living a life that you effing love, then you miss the entire point of life. You miss the entire point of this teaching. Your job is to get in bliss and be disciplined enough to let go of all negative thoughts, the devil within, if you will, and take on that battle and slay that part of your mind that is constantly trying to create problems. Your mind, the brain, if you will, has to solve a problem. It is its job. And if you don't give it the job of solving of creating the vision that you want, it solves a problem by you give it the problem like, this is my vision. Now you figure it out. How are we going to do this? Let's call in, all the innovation and pivoting and inventing so we can create and obtain this vision that we're given it. If you don't give your brain a vision of what you're working towards, it will solve a problem. So as you go into it in the law of transmutation, recognize what thoughts you're energizing and what you're focusing on. And recognize that's what you're creating. And if you feel stuck and you're creating and focusing on being stuck, guess what? You're going to feel more stuck, right? If you're constantly trying to evaluate, I'm trying to figure it out, then the subconscious mind and the universal divine mind has to show you more confusion because you just keep energizing, I'm confused and I'm trying to figure it out, right? So you've got to get into that bliss state. If you go in bliss, it's like all of a sudden you're in the zone. People are showing up, clients are showing up, friends are showing up because you're in that bliss. You're in that currency. You're in that flow. You're in the zone. And all of a sudden everything starts manifesting. Okay, you get it? So the law of transmutation, real quick one more time, is the metamorphosis of the ethereal realm into the physical realm. Energy is condensed, formed via the mind. So what is held in consciousness must transform into the material world. This is a perpetual process because energy is infinite in its expansion and must create from the mental factor of life. What the mind focuses on informs the creative medium of the universe in action. Energy is incapable of being destroyed, therefore it takes form. Thus, it is imperative to focus on what you want to manifest instead of what you don't want to manifest. Okay, you guys? So get your mind right. It is the most important thing you do in your life. The most important thing that you do. Staying in right mind. Okay? I love you guys. Have a beautiful day, and may you live your truth. Thank you for tuning in to Soulciety and Dr. Erin podcast. If you've had a calling to be a spiritual leader or coach, you can go to soulciety.com and check out our free training. If you've received value here, I would love it if you take a moment and give a 5-star review. In exchange, I have a ton of free gifts for you. Grab your free Awakening book, 40 guided meditations, and digital manifesting masterclass. I also have a free money meditation and worksheet for you so you can begin to break through your scarcity mindset and claim your birthright of prosperity. You can get all of your gifts and learn about our upcoming transformational events in my bio link in both Instagram and Facebook. That's under drerin.tv, which is DRERIN.tv. Also, I'd love to invite you into our free private community on Facebook under groups called Soulciety. That is facebook.com/groups/Soulciety. That's SOULCIETE. Have a divine day, and may you live your truth.